What type of mindset does it take to be an entrepreneur, and then especially as it relates to like some of the people that you were just talking about? Like, what do you think is that mindset? Like, if you had to really, really turn it into something that someone could adopt?
A spirit of servitude. It's not about money. It's not about how much money I can make here. Is what need can I fulfill? Like, God gave me a talent and a skill, and I'm really good at it. How can I use it to help others? There's a problem that has to be solved, and I have the talent to help others solve it. And I want to serve others.
It's good to protect your boundaries. Right?
Yes,
so
I agree
if you have
with that.
fundamental like misgivings with anyone, just because you have the same blood, I don't think you have to necessarily allow them to stay in your life. Maybe forgiving them for your own peace of mind.
You
But
didn't forgive them doesn't mean you're going to allow them in.
yeah, this is why I also tell my students, like, your vision and your goals shouldn't stay the same, but you need to have them so that every day you feel like you're doing the right thing. But, you know, when you go around the corner, you're going to see something you've never seen before. And so you should change your expectations for yourself.
I want to make 10 million liquid and then give it all away.
How should somebody look at leveraging assistance to make money versus just viewing it as an expense? And how do you know when it's time to go across that threshold? Or maybe you should just do it out the gate.
That's a good question.
Welcome back to another episode of the Macro Show with your host, me, Forrest Knight, the investor. I invest in stuff I think that everybody should too. And I'm here with Summer. I don't know why I can't decide what name to call you.
Cindy Summer.
Summer.
You get both.
I always say Summer, but on the spot I was like Cindy. Here with Summer to go through your journey and relationship with money. So maybe do a quick kind of introduction of yourself, maybe what you're up to right now, and then we're going to just jump right into it.
All right. Well, I am currently a real estate agent in Miami and also involved with a lot of organizations in the community within real estate. Just launched my virtual assistant company, which is really exciting to support real estate agents in the industry with that.
When did you launch that?
And I launched that about 3 months ago.
Okay, cool.
About 3 months ago. It had been a dream for 2 years.
So we can definitely talk about that.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. And just someone who's been in Miami for half her life and excited to be here.
Where were you before that? Oh, somewhere in California.
I was born and raised in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, okay.
Yep. Spanish is my first language. Moved to Miami when I was 15. Then graduated high school, left to California for 6 years.
That's where I got that from.
Worked in hospitality for hotels. Eventually left and got into multi-level marketing. That's when I fell in love with sales.
Cool.
And then I moved back to Miami about however many years ago, 2017.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I came in 2023. It's been like 3 or 4 years for me. I have no idea. Time is, I feel like now that I'm in my 30s, it's like everything is just one constant stream of whatever.
COVID was 4 years ago. I'm like, what?
I know, right? It seems like it was yesterday. Awesome. So from Puerto Rico, came here. So let's start there. So the way that I like to do this is I want to kind of understand how you thought about money kind of growing up, right? So I notice there's a common thread amongst entrepreneurs that a lot of us either didn't have it, right, when we were younger. And so we all are kind of like nudged in this direction out of almost like this lack when we're younger. And so that's something that I'm exploring through this show. So if you could share growing up in Puerto Rico, what was it like growing up there, and what was your relationship with money at that time?
Definitely didn't have it.
Yeah.
I grew up with very humble neighborhood, and grew up with my mom and my sister. And my relationship with money, I mean, I couldn't tell you that I had one. It was basically just literally saving in a piggy bank.
Yeah.
Just like my coins. And it was very, very, very little. So I can't even have a recollection of, do I remember what my relationship with money was? I just always saw my mom hustling. Yeah. And she was the person who was like making it happen. Like my mom was going to college and also worked in the court and used to go to a radio station at night. So she was doing multiple things during the day to support my sister and I. And I remember just sleeping under my mom's desk at her job. And then she would take me to school like during lunch. And so the relationship, I think, is just wise that you have to work hard for your money,
Yeah.
not waste it, and make sure that you save it because every penny counts.
Yeah. So you said you grew up with your mom. My parents were, I guess, eventually divorced. But I guess where was your dad at the time? However much you want to share. Were parents divorced or what's the story there?
Yes. Yeah. He was in Puerto Rico as well. He was around. I would see him every so often.
Okay.
They divorced at some point when I was little. I don't know. Maybe I was 4 or 5. Not sure exactly when it was. I was small. And then I would see him every so often until I was 13 or so. And then when I was 15, I left Puerto Rico. I didn't see him for a while.
Yeah. Do you think your parents getting divorced like changed how you viewed money at all?
Well, I don't have a recollection of my dad with my mom.
Oh wow! So it was that early.
Yeah. So I see pictures that I remember being with him, but I always remember my mom and my dad separated, even though they were married. Yeah. And I was with them when they were together, but I was too small.
Oh, okay. Got it. So you saw your mom hustling, which is cool. So I remember I was telling a story the other day. I was talking to Drew. Also, for those of you who don't know who Drew is, he's on the show. You can go watch the episode with Drew. That's who he is. Good friend of mine.
Drew's the move.
Drew's the move. Known that guy for like 12 years now, so I'm crazy. But yeah, I also saw my parents hustling. So especially like my dad, but someone's popular.
Listen, I'm a realtor.
I remember delivering newspapers, right? Because we were like broke, and he had got a job just delivering papers. It was like winter. I remember it was cold as hell. So I'm like a teenager, right? And I'm like folding newspapers, like to go deliver. It doesn't pay well, right, at all, but it was like a job. And so that hustle mentality, my dad was also in sales. And so do you think that had you not seen your mom doing that you would have, I guess, pursued entrepreneurship today? Or do you think that was like critical to who you are as a person?
I think it was critical. I've always seen my mom doing something else, like multiple streams of income, multiple ways of supporting the family. Even after we moved to Puerto Rico, where we had my stepdad supporting, my mom was always doing this and doing that. Until this day, she works at a school and she opened up her own studio where she does facials and she does this and she does that. And so I've always seen her work hard, and it has shaped me. And also I've had to shift my thinking that I have to work hard forever to have what I have, because you can be a slave to your money, and I don't want to hustle for the rest of my life. It's tiring.
Especially here in Miami.
And especially as a woman.
Yeah.
I'm like, Lord, where's my husband?
I think I mean, definitely yes to that. But I think even for men, you have to decide when you get off the bus. This is actually something that I ask everyone, especially people as they're more like successful, right?
Yeah.
So on the previous pod I did with Drew, the #1 pod, and then a few episodes here, I always ask people like, hey, talk about the millions that they've made. And it's like, well, are you happy? And no one says yes.
That they're not happy.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? And so I think there's a theme there where it's like you spend your whole life and this is what I kind of like explore with you this time, is as a reaction to our childhood, right? So it's like, when do you stop reacting to your childhood and just like be free? Because making money, it's like, I've made enough money. I made a ton of money.
Comes and goes,
right? But I think the things that make us happy are a little bit different. So when did you realize that you didn't have it growing up? Did you realize it at the time, or was it as you got older and you looked back, you realized like, oh, like my mom was hustling, to get money?
I think the first time that I did, it was when I was in high school. I was already here in Miami because I came sophomore year from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And that was a tough transition for my sister and I coming here, because
walk me through it.
I'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Puerto Rico is the same as the United States because it's a commonwealth.
Most people don't even know it's a commonwealth, so.
Okay, well.
The bar is low.
It's
but
not
it
a
is
state. Yeah, it is.
Part of America, guys.
Back in the day when I came, we didn't even pay taxes in Puerto Rico. So you saw a shirt for $7, you paid $7. When we moved over here, it was the culture, it was the language, it was everything. And I was really struggling with learning English. Like, I had to sit in front of the classroom and be like, to really listen, to see like what they were saying, and, take multiple classes in English. And I realized that the best way for me to be immersed was if I was part of the dance team, because I also love dancing. And when I got in, we didn't have enough money for me to be part of the dance team.
Oh, wow.
And so my mom couldn't afford it. So then she's like, go ask your dad. And my dad was like, well, if you want to be a part of that, then you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so that was at 16 years old, I got my first job here in Miami, and I had to hustle hard. Basically, it was a bookstore. My mom still works today. And I was working so that I could be part of the dance team. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, like this is expensive. Whatever I want for myself, I have to work hard for it, because my mom can provide the basics for me, but the rest I got to
How much was it? I guess it's relative. Because you said it's a lot, but at the time, it's...
How much was a dance team?
Yeah.
It was thousands of dollars, because you have like practices and you
Thousands?
have...
Wow.
Yeah.
You really
For the
going
year,
it. Okay.
well, you travel with the team, you go to Orlando for nationals, for competitions, you have your uniform. There are multiple things that you had to pay for.
Wow.
Say I don't even know how much it was, but let's say it was like maybe $3,000.
Yeah.
My mom didn't have it.
Yeah.
And so I had to work to do that. So that was the first time. And then the second time it was when I was in college. And I was like, my mom can't pay for any of it. My dad is not going to pay for it. If I want to be in college, I have to put myself through college. And so I got there with multiple scholarships. I've always been an A student, always been honor roll.
Good job.
Thank you.
I was on the dean's
Most
list.
guys aren't.
And in college, in high school, I think my GPA out of high school was like 2.3.
Wow.
Terrible. And then college, I was like straight A's. But I was a typical, like, I literally just told the story, but like, I remember going to my trade class in high school, trigonometry.
Yeah.
My teacher's name was Miss Fields. I actually called her. I was working at Boeing. I called her years later to like tell her like, yo, I made it. But, and it was a good conversation. She was happy. But at the time, I remember I calculated what I needed to score on the test to do zero homework.
Wow.
So like, I was good at school. I just refused. I was like, you won't see it talking to me now, but I was like insanely rebellious as a kid. And I just refused to do anything that anybody told me, like anybody.
When did that change?
I'm still rebellious in a like, it's in my nature, but I think once I realized that it would have been more beneficial for me to leverage my capabilities to like make money. Like, for example, I could have just went to school for free. Like, once I got to college, because like I was straight up ignorant at the time. I was smart, but I didn't know things.
But most kids are like boys. I feel like, I hear this story over and over again.
But most people couldn't like actually get straight A's. Like, I could have actually gotten just straight A's easily, right?
Okay.
I went to school for free.
Okay.
A good friend of mine went to school for free on an academic scholarship. I luckily got a track scholarship, so I got my school paid for. But I didn't have the realization until I was in college. I could see the opportunity that was after that, because nobody in my family had went to college. I didn't have access to people.
Congratulations, you were the first one.
Yeah, so I didn't have access to people who were like, I didn't know any of this was possible. Like this, I'm doing, like at the time, I just wanted to like, I didn't even want to go to college. Honestly, I was just like, I'll just teach martial arts, karate. I was like, I'll just do this, work in my local town. So like, that's what I mean. Like, I was completely different person. It's like more layers added to the onion now.
Do you think that it's important that your kids go to college?
I think so. I think there's a big debate. A good question. I think there, and I want your thoughts on this too. Since you went, I think the cost of college is a problem. Like, it's an obvious problem that people bring up of like, oh, you shouldn't go to school.
Yeah.
But I also think that having general knowledge of the world is like so critical, important for like not just my kids, but like people in America. When you think about business or like why I'm so successful now, at least part of the reason about that is just my general knowledge of things. Like understanding, like there's just little things that I think you should know that you're not going to realize you're even pulling off of that are going to help you make smarter decisions.
Right.
And so if the only thing you're good at, like people say, just go into sales. You don't need to do anything going into sales. Like, yes, you can go into sales, but if you lack knowledge about the world, you're going to you're more likely to make critical blunders, right? And then I also look at people who are not just well off, but like extremely wealthy, and most extremely wealthy people are exceptionally well educated. Like, across the board, like
I've also
exceptional.
met people that are extremely wealthy that didn't go to college or like a regular education.
Me as well, but
Yeah.
there's like that level after that,
Yes.
and all of those.
There's levels to this.
So, but yeah, I mean, we live in a world where entertainment, like you can be, like like you can get naked and be a multimillionaire off of that. You could go, you could be Kai Cenat, right? Be an entertainer, streamer. You can make millions off of that.
Yeah.
So there's ways to make money. I just think, in terms of being a useful member of society, I don't think having money means you're useful, right? If you want to be somebody that is dependable, can have like lasting contributions, if you want to make an impact, you have to know how the world works, right? If you want to help people, right, it's not enough to just give them money. You got to tell them how to use it, right?
I agree. I think
I digress.
education is important. My kids, I would like for them to go to college.
Yeah.
I saw my mom do it. I did it. My sister went to college on an athletic scholarship. I went into academic scholarship. And it shapes you not only because the education you're exposed to, but the people you're going to meet in college. And also all the things that you're exposed to, interpersonal skills, the extracurricular activities help you learn how to balance education, social life, organizations that you can later use it when you're an adult.
Yep.
Like systems, and there's so many things, emotional intelligence, all of those skills, you can learn them in college. I did. I mean, I started a sorority along with 15 of my sisters in college. First one in the east side of the United States.
Wow.
It existed in Texas and on the west side. And we had to go through a whole process to get it accepted into the Multicultural Greek Council. And I was a sophomore in college. And so I was managing that. Then I became president of that, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this, actually, I feel like when you're exposed to one thing, it also impacts the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
managing a budget there also helped me learn things about money. I was paying $400 in rent that I couldn't afford. And sometimes I remember my roommate sometimes will help me pay for rent because my mom couldn't give me money.
Yeah.
And I was working 2 jobs in college while I was taking 5 classes, while I was in the sorority. So all of these pressures really make you figure it out, and then you can use that later in life.
100%. I mean, so my track scholarship, for example, paid for just my tuition. So I had to come up with money for housing. So I worked. So I was running. I would work at 5 a.m. I'd have a car. I got no money from my parents. So I'd ride a bike to work through rain, literally rain or whatever.
Rain with an umbrella. You
I don't feel good about this, but I stole a bike once because somebody stole my bike.
Oh my God.
So I put it back. I found a bike. I was like, I have to get to work though, or I'm gonna get fired. So I took a bike, went to work.
You borrowed it for the day.
I put it back where I found it. Yeah, but somebody took my bike. But I literally squatted. So I've told this story before, but there was one summer where I had to retake calculus because I took it like while I was in season, and I just completely felt like I did not study enough. So I retook calculus in the summer, aced it, did fine, but I didn't have money to live. Like there's no scholarships or anything. There was like no grants or anything for the summer. So I literally just snuck in on campus to like the empty housing every day. I did that summer. Every
No
day.
way.
I straight up squatted the entire. I told no one. I didn't tell anyone until years later. The girl.
How were you showering?
Well, I showered in the apartment. Let's imagine that like there's an apartment complex, but it's student housing. So during the summer, there's no one there. Right.
So you picked like a random student's.
It was a second floor. No, it was empty. Everybody moved out. So there's nobody living there, right?
Okay.
But so I went and found on move out day at the end of the semester, I found a futon that somebody threw away. I went and got it. I carried it up. It was on the second floor. So every day I would jump onto the balcony, and I would climb in like Spider-Man, and I would use the sliding door because I was leaving unlocked. That's where I lived the entire summer.
And no one knew.
No.
No one kicked you out. No one saw you.
If anybody saw me,
Spider-Man.
they didn't say anything. They're just like, that guy obviously is broke.
Spider-Man lives there.
But so in terms of like doing what you have
Wow.
to do, like I definitely lean on those experiences. And obviously that isn't necessarily just because of college, but I do think the other things you said, like figuring it out, being a part of an organization, right? I was also the president of like this technical professionals organization that, this was like a light bulb moment for me looking back. I remember applying for it and I was like, there's no way people are going to vote for me. And I like won by like an exceptional margin. And I was like, that was the first time that I realized how other people saw me, because it wasn't how I saw myself at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, people like when I'm
What they see.
like doing like, or just like appreciate what I have to say. So
Yeah.
things like that I think are useful in college. And then the other thing, and I'll come back to you, I promise. But Rob, a good point is when I ask people who are successful money-wise with money, and then I look at the areas or the things that make them unhappy, it's like, oh, you just lack real human experience. Like you never actually lived life outside of trying to accumulate money. So it's like, yeah, you can be successful, but college is an opportunity to like, again, try things with other people and like just
get to know yourself.
Yeah, get to know yourself, encounter other cultures, other ways of thinking. And a lot of people wait until way later in life, and it's like, yeah, dude, it's really simple. You just gotta, yeah. So, no, that's cool. So you came in high school, sophomore year, got a job. You eventually danced, I imagine. Did you make the
Yeah, I made the team sophomore year in high school. Yeah.
Cool.
I paid for it. We paid for it. It happened.
Cool. So when did you, I guess, then you went to college on academic scholarship, right?
Florida State, go Noles.
Florida State, there you go. And then out of school, your first job you said was in hospitality.
In San Diego, California.
Yeah. How was that? What was your relationship with money at that time, right? So you'd been hustling a little bit in high school. You graduated, you made it through college.
Yeah.
How are you making it at that time?
When I moved to California,
Yeah.
well, they're paying me a salary, and they actually paid for me to move over there, so they cover that. And then they helped me, they cover for the first month so that I can find a roommate and live. And so I lived with two other girls, and we paid for rent that way. I think my salary was somewhere between $47,000 or $53,000.
Wow.
Which I thought was a lot at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was a slave. I was like, what? And then you make it to real estate and your paychecks are what you were making in a year when you were in, like, you know what I mean? It's, wow, like the impact. Like I look back and I'm like, I went through that so that I could appreciate where I am now. And then I realized that I was working 80 hours a week for Hyatt.
Yeah.
Salary manager, the only one who was bilingual in the hospitality department. I was running 3 different departments, laundry, housekeeping. There were 3, and I can't remember the third one. And my boss had left, and it was just me running that. And then the director of rooms would come and help, but she didn't know any Spanish. So I was doing payroll, I was doing everything. And I lost 20 pounds in 3 months.
Wow.
Because I was sleeping at the hotel because I didn't have time to go home. I was doing my laundry in the hotel, and I wouldn't see the sun because it was in the basement of the hotel.
You were grinding it out.
I was grinding it out.
So you were like, what, 22, 23 at the time?
I was in my 20s. Yep. That was after I had got my promotion. I went to a second hotel. So I was 23, 24. I was engaged. And I remember coming home crying. I'm like, my knees are hurting. Like, I don't have a life. I don't see the sun. This is not for me. Like, if in hospitality, if you don't get out early, you become a lifer. Like, you're there, you're going to open hotels, you're going to travel around the world, but you're always going to be in hotels.
Yeah.
And I looked at the people that were above me, and I was like, I don't want your life. I need to get out. If I need to work this hard to make this type of money,
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong place. But it was then when I learned to budget money.
Budgeting.
So that was a lesson.
And was that budgeting as a mechanism to start to escape that and do something else?
It was that, and it was the exposure to my fiance at the time, who was very disciplined with money, very structured with everything. He was in the military. So he was structured with finances and structured with everything. And he's like, you have to have a budget. A track number grows. We have to see where you're at. Where is your money going? How do we get out? And eventually he helped me. It was some of the money that I saved and that he gave me. And I saved for 6 months of living expenses. And I left that job. I never looked back. 2014 was the last time I worked for corporate America.
Nice. Good job. You said 2014?
2014.
2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working at Edward Jones at the time as a software engineer. So you threw in an engagement there. Obviously, that didn't work out. We
I'm
won't.
single.
We don't have to go. We don't have to go too far down that road. We won't have time.
We're not.
But you did take something valuable from that, which is cool. Just
A
his,
lot of
his knowledge
things.
on budgeting,
Absolutely.
some other things, which is cool.
And that impacted my family. He helped me structure my bank account because I would have all of the money come into one bank account. And then I learned that that's not how you do it. So then I had a bank account for my fixed expenses and a bank account, same bank, multiple accounts, fixed expenses, variable expenses, saving for health insurance, 6 different accounts within one same bank.
Love that.
And then I taught that to my mom, and my mom does that to this day, taught that to my sister. So it impacted my family because there was no one that was truly helping us financially or guiding us in my family. And it was until he was in my life that we started looking at money in a different way.
Yeah. Do you have like an emergency fund? Are you still budget
Yes.
like that today? Awesome. Good. I preached that on this show.
Yeah.
So
I went to Financial Peace University and learned some valuable points there and then realized that that's not either how I want to live my
financial
life.
what university?
Financial Peace University, FPU.
What is that?
Oh, I can't remember his name right now. Oh my gosh. People that are watching probably know who he is. This man, I'll look it up and I'll share with you.
But it's like an actual like.
It's a course that it's taught by, I'll tell you when I remember.
We'll figure it. We'll look it up.
And
We'll edit it in.
yeah, it was offered at church.
Okay.
So I went through that.
But was it focused on like FIRE and like financial independence through saving and like kind of like penny pinching more so?
Paying credit cards, different type of things that you can do with your money. What does it mean to be financially independent? How do you grow an emergency fund when you don't have a lot of money? All of those different things, because something would happen with my car or with my health or something. And I was like, my car would get towed and I was like crying desperately because I didn't have $300 to get my car. And so he explained that if you don't have a lot of money, you have to start saving if you can do $100 a month to build an emergency fund that was minimum $1,000. So if something like that happened, your world wasn't ending.
Yeah. That's huge. And that's what I tell people. So I started because I know you haven't seen it. I'll just show it to you. But I have a series that I started. It was really the genesis of this channel. Mm-hmm. If I can get in my pocket. The 80s are coming back and these tight ass pants are part of that. But I started this account on Robinhood from zero with the goal of like showing people what it looks like to invest every day. So it's at $8,500 right now. And every week on this channel, I post an update where basically I do short forms. I do $60 a day. And then really it's doing $300 a week. But
Do you pick where the money goes?
I do. So I just do the S&P 500 now, which is like the simple, like if you want to get 8 to 10% compounded growth. That's the number that people always talk about when they say invest for retirement. It's you're basically investing in America. It's the S&P 500, but it's the 500 biggest companies. But what's cool about that and kind of where people get stuck is whether it's investing or saving is like how much or into what. And I'm just like, look, it's better to have 50K of like in the worst vehicle ever than to have never started because you were so worried about what to put it in. Right. And it's like, even if it's in the market, obviously it would suck to have to take it out, but you have like money always gives you options. Right.
I love that.
And that's my goal because I grew up seeing and really encountering that situation many times where it's like, oh, like just normal life stuff that is going to happen. People will get hurt. People will get sick. Your car will break down.
Life will life.
Your roof is going to break. The refrigerator, the heating is going to go out. Right? If the heating's never went out in your life, it's coming. Like it's guaranteed to happen if it hasn't.
The AC, the fridge, all of it.
It costs thousands of dollars, and so yeah, that's a big part of why I made this show.
Yeah,
and this channel is just trying to convince people to start. So that's awesome. So
we'll talk about that.
When did you get the entrepreneurial bug? Right. So obviously you want to get out of hospitality.
Yes.
And then from there, you went into sales, right?
Yeah, with Mary Kay, actually.
Oh, that
was the multi-level, yeah.
Multi-level marketing.
And that taught me a lot. The director that I had that guided me, she was an entrepreneur herself. And I grew quickly within the business. And that's when I understood, hold on, I replaced my income that I was making at the hotel.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I left. And so I did well. I earned 3 cars,
Nice.
became a director, had 95 people in my unit. And honestly, that's when I saw the most money I had seen in 1 month, and that was $7,000.
Nice.
I was like, wait, I can make $7,000 in 1 month when I was struggling with $3,000 a month at the hotel. That's when I knew that there were more options. Now in real estate, I see people that make, whatever, like half a million in a month. And I was like, oh, shoot, there's money to go around.
People making $500,000 in a month in
Yeah,
real estate?
where have you been?
I guess here.
Miami is the number 1 city where people want to be.
Those are like top producers, I imagine, though. Right.
These are like crime that, I had a client once call me and say, I have $7 million I have to get rid of. This was December, by the end of the month, because I can't.
Legally. Okay.
Yeah, legally. He purchased 2 properties.
Yeah.
But it's to that level where I realized there's a lot, money is in abundance. Everything is in abundance. Everything, my limitations come from my surroundings and the way that I grew up. And real estate exposed me to a new level of exposure.
Yeah.
And thinking. Like, people are saying that they're struggling, but look, this guy has $7 million he has to get rid of for the end of the year. Like, he's doing something right. Wow. I'm there. I never wanted to be a real estate agent, and I'm so glad I gave it a chance.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's how I feel about real estate. But
you're an investor.
I'm in sales, though, so I totally get the sales component, right? Same thing happened to me. So I remember my first 6-figure commission.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there and just looking at it. I realized I was looking at my bank account because I didn't get a physical check. And I'm just like, all of this is made up, but everything. Because I remember working for, my first salary was $55K, right, as a software engineer in St. Louis. My rent was $665.
See, men do make more than women. Because I was 47.
I was doing a different job, though, okay?
Yeah.
But that is a thing. That is awesome, And I was just like, that's crazy. And that's on top of my base pay, right? So, I think that year I did $800K. And I remember just
wow.
There was no realization other than, even at that level, it sounds like a lot, or it could sound like a lot to people, but then you have people who have $7 million that they have to get rid of, probably for tax reasons, right? They gotta, we don't have to go too deep into that, but I already know why, because I invest in real estate. So, and then you realize that there's people out there at crazy levels where they're buying, they look at houses in the way that you would look at, a pack of Oreos, right? Or buying a car. It's like they have so much money that they can just oh, I want that,
They still care, but the level of, it's a different conversation. It's not like, oh, look at the floor has a stain. They're not going to care about the little, right, about the little things. And so it's a different experience. But you're right. Once you get to that level of exposure, you realize, hold on, he showers the way I shower. They put their sneakers on the way that I put my sneakers on. What does he have that I don't have?
Yeah.
And it's the mindset.
Yeah. It's everything. It's one of those things. So let's actually talk about that a little bit. And we only have this quick time check. I do want to respect both of our times. I got to catch a flight here. But I want to get, how would you describe the mindset? Especially today, right? So let's interweave it into, you've started your business with agents, specifically to help people in your industry, real estate, right? Virtual agents. What type of mindset does it take to be an entrepreneur? And then, especially as it relates to some of the people that you were just talking about, what do you think is that mindset? If you had to really, really turn it into something that someone could adopt.
A spirit of servitude. It's not about money. It's not about how much money I can make here. Is what need can I fulfill? God gave me a talent and a skill, and I'm really good at it. How can I use it to help others? There's a problem that has to be solved, and I have the talent to help others solve it. And I want to serve others. And I think that when it comes genuine like that, or you really want to help people, you see them in a different way. I'm not seeing them with a dollar sign on their forehead. I see them as they have a sign here that says, make me feel important.
Yeah.
And I'm there to make you feel important, to solve your problem. And in return, the money is a byproduct of that.
Yeah, people will spend I would say almost any amount of money on something that is like validating or, like I said, solves their problem, makes them feel good. A big part of, so my background is enterprise tech sales. So I was a software engineer, then I started selling software basically. And my customers are like the big banks. So it'd be like Chase, Citibank, US Bank. There's a lot of really smart people at these high levels here, like hundreds of them, but like these people make the world go round, right? They're solving big problems. They work on the stuff that we use every day. And yeah, a big part of that is like if they're going to spend a couple $1 million on your product or any of the other options, and the features are very similar, like just to be honest, it's like it's not that different. So it's all about relationships.
Yes.
But it's also about like what motivates this person. Like this guy has a family, and it's not just about knowing the facts, but it's like, is he passionate about his career? Is this just something that he does because he loves fishing and it's good enough? Like, what are the politics, right? It's hugely important to understand not your own politics, but like the politics that someone else is dealing with in their organization, right?
Okay.
Like the different posturing and all that can help you essentially, close a deal, but also just making people feel like it was their idea, right? A big part of it is like, look, I didn't sell this to you. You had this problem and you told me that this solves your problem. I'm just here to facilitate that, right? Whatever that looks like. But yeah, there's a ton of different layers to it. Tell me about your business.
The virtual assistant business it's called Pass the Task.
Pass the task, love it. What kind of task could I pass?
All the tasks. Admin tasks, social media tasks, personal tasks.
Okay.
When you're doing something, you have 3 options. You either do it, you dump it, or you delegate it.
Do it, dump it, or delegate it.
Those are the 3 Ds.
Okay.
And so...
Don't write it down and forget. No.
Write it down. So you delegate to your assistant. I mean, when I started real estate, it was a wild time in 2021 where there were bidding wars. And you couldn't, when I was driving somewhere and somebody called me and say, hey, I like this property, let's put an offer on it. I couldn't wait to get to my destination to submit the offer because I would have already lost. Yeah. So I would pull up on the side of the road. I would pull out my steering wheel desk, put it on the steering wheel, pop out my laptop, put it on top, write the offer, send it, and continue on to my destination.
Wow.
It was that level of hustling. Yeah. I couldn't take a shower. I would take a shower, answering my phone. It was like go all the time, barely sleeping. It was insane. And I was like, if this is what real estate is, that's what I thought what it was because it's all I had known.
Yeah.
I'm not getting
exceptional market. Properties were appreciating like 30% year over year at that time.
It was insane.
I sold 2 of my properties that I bought in my early 20s that I didn't plan to sell, but I was like, I have to.
But you had to, right?
Like, I got to sell these.
There would be 12, 13 offers on our property. We would go to an open house and it was like down the block, the line. I mean, it was wild. Yeah. And I just realized that I couldn't do it alone. I wasn't going to do it alone. I had too many leads, too many clients, and it was falling through the cracks. And so I said, even if I don't have the money, because it took me 14 months in real estate, having 3 jobs, real estate and 2 other jobs, in order for me to replace so that I could do real estate full time. I mean, it's a hustle. How could you have 3 jobs and then do it by yourself? Like it doesn't happen. And so I was like, I have to come out, somehow pay for an assistant. So I did. Got my assistant, and then I realized, okay, now this is how I can do it. And later on, it went up in price, and I already knew what to give my assistant. I was telling my friends, look, you need an assistant. It's going to help you do A, B, and C. And then they were hiring assistants from that company that I had hired my assistant from. But I was training their assistants because they're like, oh, I don't know what to give them, and this company's not training them. And I was training their assistants from another company.
So doing their job for them.
Yeah, and I was like, what am I doing? I had a digital marketing agency prior to real estate. I know how to hire people. I've already created the systems on how to hire my assistants because I created SOPs. I'm just going to create my company and provide the assistants and train them. And so that's how Pass the Task came to be.
Awesome.
And so they're trained real estate assistants. They're trained by realtors for real estate professionals. And we train them on the foundation, how to do showings, how to do all that. But you can also use the assistant for anything else you want to delegate. Because you do it, you dump it, or you delegate it. My assistant books my flights. And she checks me into the flights.
I need that, actually.
My mom's birthday's coming up. She's turning 60. You know how many vendors have communicated? The decorator, the cake, the food, all of that. My assistant helps me with that. The invites have to be sent. She helped me create the digital version of the invite and always sending out the invites and putting together the invites list. Anything and everything. I'm going to the movies. Oh my goodness, I want to go to the movies tonight. Go and pay for the 7 p.m. ticket.
Yeah.
There are things that you shouldn't be spending your money on because it doesn't make you money. And so those admin tasks, she does. She's my life assistant. She's my executive assistant.
Yeah. That's good. That's awesome. So do you also, I guess, and this is my business brain going, say somebody's like new to the game, right? Do you provide them like, oh, these are the things that you should be doing and we'll do them for you? Or do they kind of show up and it's up to them to kind of decide how to use the service, use the team?
Somebody who just shows up and tries to figure it out, they don't last long.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what they don't know. So I actually just taught I just did a training of 1 hour with Miami Association of Realtors on how to train and manage your assistant. And now I have access to that video, which I can share with people. And even I sit down for lunch with people out of real estate. And I'm like, you're doing that? Why don't you have an assistant? And they're like, oh, I could be doing that? Oh, it's, my sister's birthday. Oh, I call my assistant, look, my sister likes this. Go on Amazon and show me 3 different things that you would think I could do. And then she puts together a message. I tell her to use ChatGPT all the time. I review it. I'm like, I love it. She orders it. It's done. Baby showers. She put it in my calendar. She ordered, you know what I mean? So I realized that I have to teach people how to use an assistant. And I already have a video training on how to do that.
Yeah. I'd say delegation is hard in general. Like I delegate a lot. I have a team because I have this channel. I have my main YouTube channel. And then I have a partner channel that I'm like the face of their brand. And then I have 2 other channels that I'm working on, right?
You're doing it alone?
Well, I have a team. So I have my editor, I have a social media manager, and I have another editor. I have like a thumbnail guy. So I have 2 VAs, 1 in real life person.
Okay.
But I don't have like that life assistant. So that's something that's hard. I'm curious how you do that. We don't have to talk about it here, but
who checked in onto your flight for today?
Me. So I do all
look
my.
At that.
Yeah. So like that would be nice because I hate doing logistics too.
It's just it's so silly, but it's like I wake up and I'm already checked in. Come on.
Yeah, like I need somebody. I was like, I'm gonna tell you my flight preferences, which is like always nonstop. Okay, I have to sit near the front of the plane, and no mornings, and that's it. And I could just never do it again. That would be perfect.
Even when I look for a hotel, she knows I don't like hotels that have rugs.
What's wrong with rugs?
I don't like carpets.
They're dirty.
I don't like carpets. I'm like, don't check me into a hotel that has a carpet. Oh, this is brand new. It's a new, nice hotel. We're talking about the Marriott.
Give me your inside knowledge, though. What's wrong with the rugs? Or you just don't like carpets in general?
I don't enjoy really cold places like the AC or old-looking things. I love tropical vibes. So I'd rather go, if I go to Mexico, I'd rather be in a little villa where the floor is naked and there's no carpet. Because there's usually no AC. So I like to feel the vibes, right? Yeah. And when there's carpet and it's like more affordable, it's disgusting. And there's like, I don't like it.
Nobody likes disgusting.
No, I mean, no offense to anybody. I'm just saying it's what I like. Yeah. But if I'm talking about the Marriott and it has carpet, then I know it's the Marriott. It's going to be good. But generally, she knows what I like, what I don't like. Yeah. And that's what we go for.
Yeah, I would have to spend a few hours because I tend to stay in like, unless I have to, I always stay in like boutique hotels. That's my thing. I like to, like I always stay in a boutique hotel, like something different. So every time I go to New York, I've stayed in like 20 hotels in New York because I always go to little boutiques. Some of them have carpets, but it's like nice. It's more like loungy, bougie, but besides the point.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So I guess the number one pushback, and I'm curious how you deal with this, is but I don't make enough money to get an assistant. So how should somebody look at leveraging assistants to make money versus just viewing it as an expense? And how do you know when it's time to go across that threshold? Or maybe you should just do it out the gate.
That's a good question. When you have so much work that you can't handle it, that's your time to get an assistant.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have to allow to have time to train your assistant. So it's like, it's a double-edged sword. If you don't have enough money to pay for an assistant, then you're doing something, you have to switch something that you're doing.
Yeah.
For me I had a second job, right? And then I would pick up shifts. I was a model. promotional model. And there was this agency that I didn't have to work with all the time. I was working every so often whenever there was an event. And I was generating enough income here and there to pay for my assistant.
Yeah.
And so you have to get creative, whether you're selling things or you're getting like a different type of hustle on the side, or you're spending less money on clothes or Starbucks or whatever it is. Budget your money so you know what's coming in, or make more money and pay for the assistant, because once you pay for that assistant, it changes your life.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm wasting my money on a person that I don't even know if it's helping me. That's the biggest drawback for somebody, like hiring an assistant and then feeling like they're not working.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure they're giving them tasks, projects, and check-ins. Those are the three things you need to have.
I like that. That's how I manage everybody that I work with now. I think part of it is like, yeah, your assistants aren't always working, but like for me, it's enough to not have to think about it. The only thing that actually bothers me is when I delegate something out to someone and then I have to work on it. That's where it's like, honestly, if there's a question that needs to be answered, that's different. Like if there's something that's a failure, like if I didn't communicate it effectively, cool, I'll own that. We can sit down on it.
Yeah.
But it's like, if there's something where it's just like, look, I'm going to pay somebody else, because if I have to pay you and I'm doing the work, I'm going to lose my mind. But I think in general, what can happen, and this was me before I started hiring people, is you're so used to doing so much anyways, right? Where it's like, how do you know that threshold of like, oh, I should hire someone, versus like, no, I'll just squeeze out 10 minutes, 10 more minutes here, 15 more minutes here. And I think peace of mind just goes really far. Also, if you just look at like successful businesses, right? And I know this about myself. That's why I know I need to grow my team. Like you can only literally get so far on your own. Like even if you're making a ton of money, you're just not going to be at peace. You're going to constantly be thinking about all the tasks that have to happen. And it's like at some point you'd almost rather just make less and sleep more, right? So I think that's another component of it. What's your goal with your business, right? So the show is all about relationships with money. How much money do you want to make from it? How long do you want to do it? You said you don't want to hustle forever.
Yeah.
Right? So what's somewhere in 5 years look like?
Somewhere in 5 years. Before I answer that, because you mentioned something really important.
Sure.
When you said if I have 10 more minutes, if I could do it myself, I'd do it. The biggest shift for me was figuring out what my F's were. And I'll explain what that is.
F's. I'm forced.
Family and friends.
Yeah.
My faith.
Okay.
My finances. And then my career. It's not an F, but it's
basically
it's a C.
It's close.
But family and friends, faith, finances.
Career.
And career. So 10 minutes into my career, we're 10 minutes away from my faith. 10 minutes into my career was 10 minutes away from family and friends. So while I can put another 10 minutes here, my mom is telling me she wants to hang out with me on Sundays, but I'm working on Sundays. So I stopped working on Sundays so I can take care of my family and friends. Time away from one thing, time investing into one area is time away from another. So you have to figure out what's most important to you.
Yeah.
So that's how I realized, okay, well, if my assistant is doing this, then I can make sure that I'm doing that, right? And I started getting up earlier, 4:45 with the 5 a.m. prayer club, which I've had for 7 months. And my life also shifted because now I have time between 4:30 in the morning that I get up until 7:30 in the morning. No one bothers me.
Yeah.
So I take care of a lot of things. So in the next 5 years, where do I want to be? Well, I want to be a mom.
Okay.
In the next 5 years.
So you got 4 years and 3 months to get pregnant.
It's going to come all of a sudden.
Okay.
There's a worship song. It says, it's going to come all of a sudden. Like, I already know that God is working and preparing me because I'm not looking for a husband. I'm becoming a wife. And the Bible says, he who finds a wife, not he who finds a girlfriend, not she who finds a husband. And so I'm working on everything I need to work on myself to be the best wife that I can be.
What does that look like?
It looks like learning how to be a submissive wife comes from 2 different things. Number one, it's not that I'm submissive to my man because he's not my husband yet, but the way that I'm submissive to God, that's how he knows the way that I'm submissive. And how am I submissive to God? My daily prayer life, reading the word, all of that is important to me, going to church. that shows how I'm submissive to God. And then also my relationship with my family, because the Bible says honor your mother and your father. And so healing relationship with my parents, nurturing them, honoring them, loving on them. So that's important to me. And developing certain things. Like I want a man who can build things and who can solve things in the house. And that means that I'm looking for a traditional husband. So I need to be a traditional woman and have those values of like, I can feed my family. I can, if I want to teach my children at home, then the education part of that, just like multiple things of what that looks like. So it's not so much money. It's so much the other things that embodies what a woman is.
Yeah.
The man for me is not going to need me to hustle. He might need my support because behind every great man, there's a greater woman. So I can help him solve things that he may need to solve. But he takes care of the career and the hustle and the money. I can take care of the relationships, and I can take care of the kids, and I can take care of the nutrition, and I can take care of the doctors and all the little things that make his world go round.
Yeah. This is a question I thought of when you said it. So how would a man know that you would be a submissive wife if he has not witnessed it?
I just told you.
Before you were his wife, though. Because you said you weren't going to be submissive to him before you were his wife.
But he's not your husband.
Right.
You don't need to show him that you're a submissive wife. You need to be submissive to God.
Yeah.
And when you're submissive to God, that means you be a submissive wife in marriage. That's why I said two things: this submission to God and your relationship with your parents, because a marriage needs a lot of forgiving.
Yeah.
A lot of forgiving. And your parents is the longest relationship you've ever had. And so if you're in a fight with your parents or you haven't forgiven your mom about something or you're not talking to your father, what tells me that you're going to forgive your wife or you're going to forgive your husband about something terrible that's going to happen?
Yeah.
You have to learn to heal wounds.
I can see that. I think that's important. I also think that, everyone's situation is unique. I think some relationships, it's good to protect your boundaries.
Yes,
right? So
I
if
agree
you
with
have
that.
fundamental misgivings with anyone just because you have the same blood, I don't think you have to necessarily allow them to stay in your life. Maybe forgiving them for your own peace of mind. But
You can forgive them, doesn't mean you're going to allow them in.
yeah, exactly. Interesting. Cool. So you want to build this business, right?
I want to build a business.
And then in 5 years, you're going to stop doing the business.
I'm not
How
putting
does
a
that
time.
work?
It's not my timeline, it's God's timeline.
Well, I guess how do you envision it playing out?
I'm just going to build my business. Actually, I'm working on a big partnership with a brokerage where I'm going to be offering my services to the whole brokerage.
Sick.
And so I have big dreams. I have big plans. Doesn't mean that I'm going to stop it and be like, you guys are screwed. I'm no longer that's not how it happens. I think that once I step into motherhood, some things have to, be removed from my life. And whether that is I get a manager and keeps running it, et cetera. You know what I mean?
An assistant business. What do you mean?
Yeah, but it's different to have someone who is responsible than someone who's accountable.
Yeah.
Because as you're accountable, you care about the outcome of things. So it would have to be like a CEO type of thing. I have my business partner, Bethany.
Yeah.
We do a lot of things together. I don't know what's going to look like. I don't need to know the how. I just need to know the why.
Yeah.
And I think it's a conversation with my husband and I.
I think it's going to matter a lot on who that person is.
Absolutely.
And their lifestyle, right? Because I personally am more of the, I like to surround myself with people who are rowing in the same direction, right? So whether it's my partner, Brianna, for example. She's great in just doing some of those things. Like she cooks me breakfast every day. She makes me coffee.
She's the sweetest person ever.
I never make coffee in the morning. I don't make my first
I love
coffee. I make coffee. But she makes me coffee every day and things like that, which is nice for me. It literally saves probably 15 to 20 minutes, if not more, every single morning.
At what time do you get up?
Depends. It could be early, like 6. It could be 8. Just depends on the day. But it doesn't really matter.
It matters. It works for you because I leave my house at 5:30. So if my boyfriend is getting up at 6,
yeah. But even
but yeah.
Even when I was waking up, because I was doing a 6 a.m. schedule last year.
Yeah.
She wouldn't do it then, but I'd come back and she'd make food when she was
Yeah.
up. So I think things like that are important, but it's gonna. My perspective on it is that it's totally fine. You have to know what you want, right, and what
Yeah.
your kind of, I guess, metrics for good or great are, but we're dealing with like individuals, right? And so everybody's always going to be working on something. Everybody's always going to have, even if we say the same things, we're going to mean something different, right? So when you say I'm going to be submissive to God, and et cetera, someone else says that I want a wife who's submissive to God, he could mean something different than, so there's
Support
always
and submission is very different. Don't get me wrong. Because now you're saying, oh, you're not going to give coffee to your boyfriend. Like, it's not what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
Support and submission are two very different things. When I'm in a relationship, I step deep into my femininity.
Yeah.
And yes, all of these things happen. I'm packing lunch. I'm like, all of these things is very different.
But ironic to me, like, so those aren't even like, I guess for me, requirements. Like, I love and appreciate that Brianna does that for me. But I'm very I'm chill. I'm not the type of person who like feels the need to get married. Like the only reason that I would want to get married is if I had kids, because it just makes sense. But I'm not necessarily like trying to have kids. We'll see what happens. Brianna,
How long have you guys been dating?
We've been together for 7 years, 8 years.
7 years now. Woman gets up to make you coffee. When are you proposing? What are you waiting for? Brianna, I'm here for you.
Neither of us. I have no desire to get married. She doesn't have a desire to get married, but if she like really wanted to, like I would. Like I'm not against it.
When was the last time you asked her if she wants to get married?
We talk about this often, probably a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not like a secret or anything. I just this very, I guess, non-traditional in that sense.
I got it.
I'm traditional, which is funny because I'm traditional in the sense of like being a man. Like I pay for everything. Like I never let like, even when people that I'm like just women around me, like I just pay, I'm very traditional in that sense. I grew up in a very Christian household, like going to church, all of that. So I do all those things. I'm just not traditional in like the marriage sense. But
if it works for you guys, it works for you guys.
We're here every day.
And that's beautiful, Forrest, that the fact that you guys are, like what you said, you're on the same path.
Yeah. I do want to understand. Let's do a quick little time check here. Oh, I gotta go to Atlanta. So I like to end these on 2 questions, and I'm more than happy to have you back, by the way. If you want to come back onto the show. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I like ending on 2 questions. Before I ask those 2 questions, though, anything you want to ask me?
Do you work with individuals one-on-one to help them develop their financial situation?
Not personal finance. It's something I want to do. So I thought about adding like a call-in segment to this, which would be pretty cool. People do that. I have a lot going on. So I have my coaching business, which I'm working on. I have a course that I'm going to launch hopefully before the end of this year. Been building that. So I work with people for day trading, right? My main channel is day trading and doing that. So yes, on the entrepreneurship side, I do help people as both a trade coach and kind of like a life coach, just like motivating people, helping people be accountable, and like realizing their purpose.
Right.
Personal finance, I think I'll get there. I feel like it could just be a little bit of imposter syndrome, but my thing is like I've always been able to make money. So from a personal finance perspective, I'm always of just like I'm not a penny pincher. Like I believe in budgeting. So I always tell everyone like you guys should have a budget. Like you should budget your money. You should know where every single dollar is going. But I'm not the type of person who's like, I'm going to stop going to, like I'm not going to stop dancing, right? Like I still dance to this day. I love dancing. Like it's in my blood. I'll probably dance until I die. It's just dancing in general. I won't always be able to break dance, but I'm a dancer, right?
Yeah.
So however many resources it takes to do that, I'm going to do that because that's what
that's what you love.
Most peace. And there's different layers to that in life. And I can make money. So whenever I've needed more resources, my brain automatically goes to just like, yo, just make more money. There's a lot of it out there.
Make more money.
Right? But like we said, you have to get off, at least this is my perspective. Like I am eyeing like, for me, like I think when I'm 40, I probably want to get off the bus. I think I'll probably work.
How old are you now?
33. So I think I've got a few more years of like.
I'm ready to get off the bus right now.
Really great.
Open the door.
How old are you?
I'm not going to say my age on a recording.
Yeah, you can tell me after.
Find me on Instagram. I posted.
But no, I get it. And it's like I wanted to retire. Like my first goal was like 33. But as you've probably seen, like as you make more money and you see what's possible, the
goal changes.
Yeah, you're like moving the goalpost for yourself.
Yes.
But then it's like, do I want to do this forever just to have more money. You know, like,
When is enough? When are you?
my number, I have so I won't spend too much time on this, but this is an exercise I do with everyone, all my students. I also did a YouTube video on this. You should have very specific goals, right? So I have a 10-year, 5-year, 3-year, 1 year, 90-day, 30-day
Yep.
plan, right? So it starts with aspirations and goals, vision.
Okay.
So what I do is I would say summer, 5 years from now, I didn't do this, but what does a perfect Sunday look like for you? So where do you wake up? What does it smell like? Who's laying in bed next to you? Are there kids yelling down the hallway? When you look out,
Definitely kids yelling.
when you look out the window, where are you? You know, where's the weather? What's the temperature? What do you do first?
Yeah.
Are you making breakfast, et cetera, et cetera? And as you go deeper into that vision, you start to realize the type of life that you live. Are you
Yeah.
working? Are you not working? Then it's like, cool. So that's your vision. How do we turn that into concrete steps? And so as you get closer to today, at the end of it, like when we get to like 90 and 30 days, it's like, okay, you just told me that you're going to wake up and you're going to do this and you're going to hop. If I'm talking to a guy, it's always some cars. Like I'm going to hop into my 911 GT3 and I'm like, all right, so what are you going to do tomorrow that's
make
going
that
to get
happen.
you? And they're like, oh,
Well, number one step is hire an assistant from Pass the Task.
exactly. Exactly.
That's real. That's very real.
But my number, to answer your question concretely, is I want 10 million liquid and I'll consider stopping.
You'll consider stopping.
But that's the thing, because I know like I've done pretty well so far and I already know how I've changed, but I feel like that's a number where I know how to put that money to work and how I would do it,
Yeah.
to where I would probably just focus more on just investing and less like fast money, like working on a course or like one-on-one. But 10 years from now, if I was the same person, I would be worried and surprised, right? So, well, not 10 years, 7 years. So I say that now, and this is what I also tell my students, like your vision and your goals shouldn't stay the same, but you need to have them so that every day you feel like you're doing the right thing. But, you know, when you go around the corner, you're going to see something you've never seen before. And so you should change your expectations for yourself. And I think that's fine. But then that's where the self-awareness comes in of like, oh, am I doing this because of greed? I just want more. Or am I actually fulfilled and like self-actualizing? Am I helping people? Right? A lot of people talk about legacy, but it's like, what type of, like, there's people you can help right now. Why are you so worried about like after you leave? You're here today.
Yeah.
There's somebody outside.
Living legacy.
Yeah, like you go help someone today. I'm huge on helping people right now. I think giving, whether it's charity or I think time is way more important than money in terms of giving. Obviously, give your money, but like giving what you know, right? So I sell my knowledge, I also give it away for free. I think that's huge. Sometimes people just need a hand, or they need to see somebody like you, right, who looks like them, who can say that they can do it. It's one thing if I say you can do it. If you say they can do it, you know, that could be life-changing. So
Your answer is very masculine, and I like it. It just looks different for me that I want to be in my femininity. Like in 5 years, I see myself with 2 or 3 kids.
yeah, 2 or 3. I thought you said
Yeah.
1. All right, so
No, I want more. I want at least 3. I want chickens, and I want to be
Chickens.
eating eggs from the chickens that the eggs that my hens laid.
Did your family raise chickens?
No,
growing
never.
up? Have you ever seen chickens?
Yeah.
All right, my family raised chickens, so I know what that's like. And are you going to eat the chickens too, or just the eggs?
No, just the eggs.
All right, well, you got to do something with the chickens when they perspire.
My grandma used to like cut the actual head of the chicken and we would eat it.
Yeah, well, first you break the neck.
Yeah.
Then you snap the neck.
We
I've
would
done
hear
this
the
before.
chicken
You
like,
snap the neck. You boil it, boil the feathers off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
so-
grandma had chickens in her house growing up, so I remember those. Now that you mention it, if I've seen it, but I think it's at this point I just want to nurture,
Yeah.
and I'm in my mid-30s. Like it's a difference. Money's great, but money doesn't give you everything. I just want to love and I want to nurture and I want to take care of the legacy that my children will be.
I think this is my prediction for you.
Tell me.
I think that you will have that. I think you're going to do that for a while. And then that freedom from not having your foot on the gas
Oh, but I'm gonna do both.
is you're gonna come back and be like, all right, and maybe it'll be a different angle. It could be something completely different. But I think like you just have an entrepreneurial spirit.
I do. And it could potentially be, look, I'm teaching my kids, school, Montessori, and then I end up opening a little school in the back of my house, and then I open up a school, and then I'm making money to the school, but I'm doing the things that make. There's always some type of business going in the back of my mind because it's just the way that I'm a problem solver and I love doing it, but it'll be based on what I'm doing at the moment.
Or a lot of people do this. This is what I always envisioned if I had kids, is that I would have a family business. So my kids would definitely work in my business. There would be no like separation between home time and work time. There's a whole other hour discussion, but I don't really believe in work-life balance. I just believe in life. So
rhythm.
Yeah, this is rhythm. So it's like, I want my kids around me. So like, yo, just come work. Like, this is what I do every day.
Go
and
sweep.
then they grow up, and then when I die, like, it's yours.
Yeah.
That's how I always envision it. So you and your future husband could maybe create a business together.
Yeah.
And when you bust out your 3 kids, they could work with you.
Hear me, Lord.
You could all be one happy, unit in your non-AC, no carpet house.
No carpet house. I love it.
Yeah.
You
Cool.
already know.
Well, these are the 2 questions I got to ask you. Then I got to... Actually, wait. My flight leaves at 4. No, we'll be good. We'll be good. So what are you most afraid of?
Losing the people I love
Why? What about losing them?
is having them is what fuels me.
Well, and I always dig in a little bit. So I have lost people. We know that people leave. So the people that you just thought of, they will leave someday. So how can you obviously not mitigate feelings of grief and loss? But you said if they're what fuels you, do you think that is good? Maybe they shouldn't be what fuels you.
My mom and my sister are very important to me.
Yeah.
They're like my world.
Yeah. As they should be.
Yeah. If I were to lose them, I don't know. I'll get emotional right now.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's why I ask. Yeah. I think it's totally fine to do that. I think one of the reasons, like my mom is the reason that I do a lot of stuff, right?
Got me emotional in here, Forrest. My goodness.
That's
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
You don't have to hide. This is a safe space.
No, it's true.
But yeah, I thought about that too. I think about like, I do a lot of things for my mom and my family, but it's like, if you ask my mom, like I've done enough, So maybe when you think about your sister and your mom, like for you, they're the reason that you do things, but maybe to them, it could be completely different.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I just think about that because I know, a long time in the future, Mom, she will leave, and it'll be us, the next generation that are here. But I don't think that we can. I want to say not excuse. I think we have to keep living for them, right?
Yeah.
So selfish to say, like our lives are. This is my perspective, but your life is your own, right? And so I think it's great to use or be fueled and energized by your family and how you can impact them and things like that. But, you were put here a little later in the timeline for a reason. And there's stuff you have to do even after they leave. That's my
And there
thought.
will be people that will be connected to me once they're gone, like my kids and my husband.
Exactly.
And they'll give me reasons to keep going.
Exactly.
So it starts with them, but it doesn't end with them. There'll always be a reason to live.
Yep.
And I have purpose, the purpose that God gave me, right? That keeps me going. And it won't be the end of the world once they leave. It might feel like the end of my world.
It won't be. I think your world will be greatly changed. Your universe will have shifted.
Yeah.
But it will still be there. So we're going to end on a happy note. What are you most excited about?
Right now.
Just in general. Right now, tomorrow, life.
What I'm doing. Honestly, I love my life. I love where I live. My apartment is new. I've been in there, I think, two months now. I'm really enjoying it. I love my career. I love what I'm doing. I am very blessed with my family and friends. I'm such a family and friends person.
Yeah.
We just had Friendsgiving, and I was really thinking about that, reflecting upon my life after that. And I just have a deep feeling of being loved, and love my necklace is love. Like love moves me. And then that's what I'm really excited about, just like having people in my corner and not having to worry about whether I can pay for my apartment or I can pay for gas or I can pay. Like I have what I need at this very moment, and I'm really happy of where I'm currently at.
I love that for you.
What are you excited about? I want to hear that.
What am I most excited about? I think I'm a very introspective person. I'm always thinking. I'm a thinker by nature, which is why people often, like outside of this, like I'm quiet. I don't know if you thought maybe I'm a quiet person, but I am a quiet person. I'm always thinking to myself. But most excited, I'd say there's a few things. I'm excited for like the next year, 2 years. I think as I think about all the things that I've done, like I did a startup in Silicon Valley, started day trading. I have a YouTube channel that makes money.
Yeah.
I have this show. I got to meet Shaq yesterday. Like he was here, did this show.
He was recording. Awesome.
And just like how all these little connections kind of like weave together to form my life, right? I think I'm kind of just excited for what's possible, you know? So I told you like my vision, my goals, the 10 million liquid, like the money to me is like irrelevant at this point. Like
it's a byproduct of what you're doing.
It is, but like I honestly, like I even imagine sometimes like, what if I just gave away all my money and just...
I want to make 10 million liquid and then give it all away.
Well, it's because I think it would give me more focus. Like I know what makes me happy. I love dancing. Like even to this day, and dancing isn't like, I could go outside. Like I used to do this when I was a kid, and like I would just break on the sidewalk and ever see those people dancing outside. And like, why do people do that? And it's like, because they just love moving. So like, I know what I love to do. I love doing that. I love solving problems, like building things with my hands. And none of that costs money really. You know, I grew up, my dad was like a carpenter, so I was like, I can like fix anything, right? I love doing that. And so it's like, I spent a period in my adulthood like doing other stuff that was profitable. But then I was like, well, what I really like to do are these things. So I need to figure out how to make money doing things that I enjoy doing. And I think going back to your question of like what I'm most excited about, it's like making money, doing what I want to do, being able to help people. You know, one of my favorite things is like getting a DM from somebody that like I actually helped, or like, hey, I started investing or saving because of this, because I saw your video. And to me, it's like I churn out videos, and so it's like you never really know who you impact. You get likes, like the direct messages.
Their validation.
You know? Yeah, because it's not a comment or anything. It's like they reached out. Yeah. And it's just nice to know that you made a change. And so for me, I know how big of a change I want to make. So that's really important. I want to like build a school one day. There's all this other like these little things that I want to do.
School your kids.
So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about. I might buy another car. We'll see. But
see, like those things don't excite me. I want to buy a car. I'm like, yeah, I want a nice car.
I like driving though.
Okay. You know? I like to be driven. I have princess syndrome. Such a girl.
I guess. Yes. Have you been to a racetrack?
Yes. Formula One.
No, like drove in on
like
track.
Actually.
Yeah.
That's not track. I don't have to drive it.
That's like racing. That's different.
I don't need to drive. I have no desire to drive it. It's such a guy thing.
I hate driving too, so I ride my bike here most of the days because I hate traffic.
Wow.
So my car, I put like less than 1,000 miles a year on my car. Like I don't drive.
Wow.
But I'm a car. I like drive.
I put 15,000 a month.
That's crazy. My car has less than 14,000 miles on it, and I've had it for 3 years.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I don't drive, but like I love cars and driving.
Okay.
You know? So I love old cars. I digress. Anyways, Summer, thank you so much for joining me. You have been a blessing to talk to. Awesome conversation.
And fun.
Hopefully you come back maybe. It's hard to get you on here one time though, so we'll see. Maybe 2025.
It took like a year to get me here, but I made it.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at cindysummer.re. That's the best way to find me.
Awesome. I will put the link in the description. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video with 2 of your friends. If you liked or hated this conversation, let me know. I want to hear from you, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
You're never gonna look back, 'cause damn, I was built to last.